When they get to about parallel or below parallel, you'll see that their low back rounds. This is also referred to as a butt wink, because you'll see the butt dump underneath the person's body and almost like disappear, essentially. And then as they come up, it sticks back out and you see their spine go back to its normal position again. This is very, very common, in particular if you're someone that's been sedentary for a long time, you've sat a lot for a number of years. Now, how do we go about fixing this issue? Now, this one can be really tricky because there's a number of different things at play here. But essentially, we need better core control to allow you to maintain a neutral spine when you get below parallel in your squat. There are a number of drills that you can do on the floor where you mimic a squat position. So if you were to come down to the floor onto all fours with your hands on the floor, your knees on the floor, and you essentially rock back, so you're bending your knees and hips and you're sitting your butt back toward your heels, you're mimicking a squat position, and you're next to a mirror, you want to make sure that the natural arch of your lower back remains intact throughout the entire thing. You can also put a cone down on like your tailbone. So like some sort of fitness cone that you would use for like agility drills. You have yourself or someone else put that on your tailbone, and you want to make sure that the cone points straight up at the ceiling at all times as you rock back into this squat position. This can be something you maybe look up, and I'll post a video on YouTube soon. Check me out on YouTube, Fortitude Training Systems. I'm on there, and I got some good info on there as well. Shameless plug. So that's the butt wink. So we want to be very careful of that. So again, make sure you're videoing your form. And then arching. Now this happens with people that are hypermobile or double jointed. So if you're able to hyperextend your elbows, your knees, and contort your spine and shoulders and all that, you have a host of different issues you need to be checking on, as opposed to somebody that is really, really tight like myself. And what I see here is the overarching of the back. So you see the back go into a deeper amount of extension, an excessive amount. And this can compress the discs of the lower back in a bad way. Again, we want to maintain a neutral spine, okay? And so overextending can be just as bad, if not worse, than rounding of the lower back. And so what do we do there? Again, we need good core control so the same drills can work, and then lightening the load on the bar up and ensuring that you're using the hips and the knees as opposed to the spine to create movement. The muscles around the spine should be contracting isometrically. In other words, there shouldn't be movement around the spine, so you shouldn't see it rounding or extending, but there should be a protective tension of the muscles around it to keep it from moving so that it stays safe. And so those are some of the most common things that I see when it comes to issues with the squat. And some other things, tight ankles. If you're really, really tight with your ankles and you're having trouble getting to full depth, then, your ankles are probably really tight and you need to focus on those. And hey, that's another issue too with forward leaning. If you're leaning forward too much, your ankles might be really tight and you're trying to compensate for that by leaning more from the hips or bending more at the hips. So make sure your ankle mobility is sufficient. All right, there's drills you can do, and there's ways you can test that. And then you also want to make sure you have a strong core, so you're doing something about that as well. And that's not necessarily sit-ups and crunches, but planks and different isometric core exercises that we can get into another time. But there are definitely a number of issues you need to watch for, and this is just basically some of the most common ones that you want to watch out for. Now let's finish things off by going over different variations of the squat, because maybe certain variations will work better for you. Now, when I refer to the squat, I most often am talking about the back squat. The back squat is where you place a barbell on your upper traps, or you do a low bar back squat where it goes just below the spine of the scapula. And that is a slightly different squat. So you got the low bar back squat and the high bar back squat. Now these variations allow you to lift the most weight out of any of the variations that are out there. Now there's also the front squat. In the front squat, you place the bar on the shoulders, the front of your body. This can be really uncomfortable for some people, but for those that maybe can't back squat due to shoulder mobility issues or something of that nature, the front squat is a good alternative. You can do what's called a California front squat, where you cross your arms and grab the bar, or you can do a clean grip, which is where you would grab the bar with the hands and rack it on your shoulders and your elbows are pointed forward. Right, if you look up power clean or something, you'll see the position before the person throws the bar over their head. That would be the position you would squat in. Now, the difference between the back squat and the front squat, the back squat, you're going to lean over more, like I talked about before. You're going to work more the back of the legs, so the glutes and hamstrings and the back muscles. In the front squat, you're going to work a little bit less of that. It's going to focus a little more on your quadriceps, so those muscles are just above the knees, the hamstrings, the core. It's more the front of the body, and it stresses the upper back a little bit more because it's essentially trying to pull you forward, pull you down, and your upper back has to work really hard to keep you from hunching and falling forward. So they work different muscles in different ways, but essentially both very beneficial. There's the aforementioned band-assisted squat I talked about. Very good one if you're maybe post-op from a knee surgery, but check with your doctor first. Or if you're very deconditioned or you just have not been very active at all and you need to start somewhere very easy. And then there are a number of others, and the big one that I want to talk about that I've really come to respect this one more is the goblet squat. The goblet squat is where you hold a dumbbell or a kettlebell up at your chest, similar to a front squat, and you squat with that. Now, this one I've found if you have a lot of trouble with a butt wink or a rounding of the back and you're really just having a hard time controlling that spine and getting to proper depth, the goblet squat is a great variation, and I can't really explain to you why. All I know is it seems to be a lot easier for people to squat to depth without their spine getting out of whack at the bottom. So if you're really, really struggling with that, with the barbell or even your body weight, some people squat better with some weight on their bodies, and that will be much safer for you. So I would definitely recommend goblet squats if you're struggling with that. And then there's the kettlebell front squat. So maybe if you don't have access to a barbell or you want something a little different to play around with, grab yourself a couple of kettlebells, clean them up to your shoulders, and you'll squat kind of similar to a goblet squat. But now those kettlebells are really trying to pull your arms forward and fall out of your hands. So that will stress the shoulders and the upper body in a different way. And again, kind of similar to that front squat. So that's another good variation that you can utilize and mix in if you like. But, if I had to pick one, as long as your form is good, your mobility is good, that back squat will give you the biggest bang for your buck as far as your strength goes. So that would be definitely where I would try to get to and work your way up to, whether that's with your band assist, then body weight squats, and then eventually back squats once you get stronger and your form is solid. Those are that back squat is really the one that will allow you to gain the most strength. Whereas some of the other ones, they'll work muscles a little differently, but you can't use as much weight really with a goblet squat or a kettlebell squat. So that back squat will allow you to put weight on the bar for years and years before you really officially stall out. Squatting should be a part of everybody's routine. Anybody that can squat should be squatting. Like I said, it works a long range of motion. It works a lot of muscles all at the same time. It's very functional, meaning you can use it in your everyday life. It's very practical in that way. And everybody should be doing it. Everybody should be utilizing this great movement. And again, it's not easy. It's tough work. Getting low, using all those big muscles is very taxing, but it is so beneficial in the long run. So I would squat at least twice a week. Like I talked about it before with your routine, that squat should be in there at least 2-3 times a week. And again, you can mix in some of these different things, but that back squat is huge. This can alter the course of your life. It can help you maintain your independence. It can make you look sexy. It can help you perform better on the field or the court. It has a lot of carryover to many different aspects of your life. And the people that are serious about their training, they squat. All right, if you're serious about this, time to put the big girl pants on or the big boy pants on and start squatting. Just make sure they're not jeans. You don't want those things to be ripping when you squat low. I've had that happen. Don't do it. This episode is brought to you by On Track Physical Therapy and Functional Training. If you're looking for a place where you can go and start working towards your health and fitness goals, give us a shout. We are at ontrackhealth.net. The owner is Brian Leffler, Brian at ontrackhealth.net, or you can contact me, Ren at ontrackhealth.net. That's a lot of emails there. But hey, our schedule's right up on that website. We have group training, which is great if you've been a part of like team sports in the past and want that camaraderie and the expert coaching. We have great coaches and great community here. We work on strength training. We work on cardiovascular endurance and mobility so that you have a well-rounded routine. So if you're interested, if you need a physical therapist or you need a place where you got community or you want one-on-one personal training, then give us a shout. And if you're interested in more information like we talked about today, and you want to go back and listen to some of those other episodes, check out the rest of the Fortitude Training podcast episodes. There's plenty of good information there, and I have more guests on the way. We'll be talking with a physical therapist very soon, as well as nutrition, and we'll be talking more about the different movements that'll optimize your health. And don't you forget to get strong and live long.